the Middle Ages. The theater created in the Middle Ages, also known as the medieval period, stretched from approximately 500 to 1500 AD. The theatrical performances staged during this period were quite different from the theatrical performances staged in Rome. In the absence of a powerful monarch or government to stabilize trade and daily life, the church took over many of the functions of leadership. Because the church was so powerful, and because so few people could read the scriptures for themselves, theater became a way to communicate religious messages to the general public in a clear and powerful way. Most plays were performed in the Middle Ages told stories from the Bible. Often several stories were performed one right after the other in what became known as a cycle of plays. An example of such a cycle is the Wakefield cycle, staged in Wakefield, England, which consisted of 32 plays. The 13th play in this cycle, the Second Shepherd's Play, is considered one of the best English cycle plays. The cycle plays were often referred to as mystery plays because they focused on the mysterious nature of God's power. These plays dramatized biblical events spanning the period from the creation in the book of Genesis to the Last Judgment in the book of Revelations. For example, the mystery of Adam tells the stories of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and the prophets who foreshadow the coming of Christ. Although the plays of this period focused on man's proper response to God, as the period passed, the church began to modify the content of the plays. These newer plays, known as morality plays, attempted to teach a moral lesson to the audience through the use of allegorical, symbolic characters. For example, a character in a morality play may have represented all of mankind, or a particular vice or virtue, such as greed, anger, or mercy. The main character, often called everyman or mankind, was typically tempted by evil, but returned to the side of good in the end. The plays were presented very differently from the way the Romans had staged their plays. Staged in the church itself, or in the churchyard around the church building, or in the street, the setting customarily comprised a series of several small, temporary, hut-like houses, each one decorated differently, to represent a different location. These were called mansions. All of these mansions were visible to the audience at once. Each of the mansions faced a common shared playing space in front of the row of mansions called the platea. This space served as the central acting area for all of the locations. The audience would accept that the space was changing based upon the particular mansion from which the actors entered. Although they were of minor importance compared to the religious and morality plays, two other forms of theater, farce and interlude, were popular in the Middle Ages. Farce was a form of coincidence that originated in the 1200s, emphasizing some of society's more ridiculous behaviors. The interludes were comic plays that served as short breaks between different parts of a celebration.